At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Peace, family. We are live again. Oops, my bad. We are live again. Donnie Samir, search for Haru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Do me a favor, hit that like button, and please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure, there we go, make sure you guys can hear me. And make sure you guys subscribe as well. I greatly appreciate it. Got a couple of announcements. Oh, where's my Sierra Leone passport? I'm going to need this. Sierra Leone citizenship is back on in Sierra Leone. Again, citizenship is back on in Sierra Leone. So if you're interested in learning more, please visit donfo.africa. Again, please visit donfo.africa to learn more. I got some great news. We are rolling to Senegal. We are rolling to Senegal end of this month for the Jazz Festival. I'm sorry, next week, which is the end of the month technically. Next week we are rolling to Senegal for the Jazz Festival. I can't wait. Looking forward to it. We're gonna have a great time in Senegal. Again, we are going to have a great time in Senegal. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I am excited about that. We're also rolling to Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. Zanzibar in September for Safari Blue. Namibia and South Africa in November, and then Sierra Leone in December. So if you're interested in joining us, please visit Donfo, that's DANFO .Africa. Please visit Donfo, that's DANFO .Africa to learn more. Without further ado, the argument, 14th Amendment, was it intended for free black slaves, or was it intended for anchor babies, illegal immigrants to come over, have their babies, and the babies get automatic citizenship for being born here in America? I want to play this video by Lady Boule. Make sure you guys, fair use. Make sure you guys subscribe to Lady Boule's page. Again, make sure you guys subscribe to Lady Boule's page. And I want to play this video. Watched it this morning, and guys, give me your feedback on it. I personally believe, from what how I would interpret it, from listening to both sides, the 14th Amendment was intended for the descendants and free black slaves. And I'm going to get into like the bigger picture when it comes to this, but let's go ahead and let this play.
This is Lady Boule, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, y'all, it has come as a disappointment to a lot of people that we, Black Americans, are in the Constitution. There are constitutional amendments that are just for us, that were passed specifically for our ancestors. And people didn't know that because they don't take the time to learn American history. They just come over here because they want to make money or they want to be Americans, I guess. And everybody thinks that Black Americans are the bottom caste because we say that. A lot of Black Americans say that. We're the bottom caste. Our family members were enslaved. People even call us slaves now when they want to insult us. But what they don't know is that we have agency. And when I say agency, we have skin in the game. We're in the law books, we're in the Constitution, and they're not. And that is a source of anger and anxiety and surprise to many people because they think, well, white Americans don't like Black Americans, and they feel like we are the cushion. So if something bad is going to happen in this country, it's going to happen to us first. So that's what they were counting on with deportation. They thought we were going to get deported first because they don't know American history. They don't take the time to learn and they won't listen. The reality is, though, I think a lot of Black Americans didn't know that. We are in the Constitution. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments are about us. The 14th Amendment, the amendment that everybody's riding on now that's in here illegally, that amendment was passed for our ancestors. And then about 35 or 40 years later, Chinese took advantage of it, and the Supreme Court ruled that because he was born in the United States, he was a citizen. That was a terrible ruling on the part of the Supreme Court, and they need to right that wrong because it's giving people who come in here illegally and who are very disrespectful to American citizens, not just Black Americans, but anybody, it's giving them citizenship and they don't deserve it, in my opinion. I don't think they deserve it. But they didn't know we were in the Constitution, y'all. They thought they had the same status in this country that we have until Donald Trump told them, Donald Trump of all people, told them that the 14th Amendment was for the enslaved. And that has been a shocker. And that is the reason why we're getting all of this anti Black hatred from these other groups. Every time something comes up, they try to drag us into it to show their anti Blackness because they resent the fact that we have a status here that they don't have because they're runners. Their status should be in their homeland that they fled from, but they didn't want to stay in their homeland and have to fight through and struggle for what they want in their country to make it better, to make it a better place to live. They want to run where somebody else has already suffered and sacrificed to make a country at least livable. But they resent the fact that we have a status that they don't have. So every chance they get now, they're taking pot shots at us. They want to believe that they have the same status in this country and the same rights in this country as we do. But they don't. They don't. They didn't put in the work that it took to build this empire. They didn't suffer anything to build this empire. It is not fair for them to have the same status that we have, especially when they come up in here disrespecting the laws of the United States and breaking the laws once they get here. They shouldn't have the same status as people whose ancestors suffered and died to build this empire. And I don't know what's motivating him, but Donald Trump is fighting birthright citizenship and is bringing out enemies that we didn't know we had. And this YouTuber
Didn't know we
seems to
had.
be frustrated with the whole process. So listen to her.
Ethnic Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, Sulan, are at the center of the Supreme Court justice decision today. And what's pissing me off is every time I turn on a news station, everybody's trying to diminish our role in this entire thing. Because one thing is because a lot of people are immigrants, and a lot of immigrants are so jealous of the fact that we are Americans, and even just like Sotomayor. So I was watching the attorney talk to Sotomayor and say, listen, we are basing this on the precedents of the fact that.
What's this? Oh,
it's hard for us to.
This law of birthright citizenship was based on the descendants, the children of slaves. And immediately she like cut it off, switched it, and was like, well, also the gypsies. Who's talking about gypsies? Why are we talking about gypsies in America? Like, why did you deflect to gypsies? Why didn't you address the fact that, or have a counter to his point about ethnic Black Americans? And I've noticed that immigrants are so very, 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 not all, but most are very jealous of our position in this country, because they hate the fact that people of our color and our complexion can have this kind of cemented place in a country that they want to be a part of so bad, and they're just not on some levels. And so what we have is we have white Americans who are just given, carte blanche, because white Americans, this place was ruled and colonized for them specifically, right? And then you have us who were begrudgingly given citizenship because they know that they made us build this whole entire thing. We've been here for 4 or 5 centuries. We fought in every war. We're so entrenched in this country that they had to begrudgingly, and we fought for, give us the citizenship. So on one side, you have white Americans who are just kind of given carte blanche citizenship. It's just theirs, okay? And then you have us who have, with blood, sweat, and tears and labor, are embedded in this country with citizenship. And it's in our Constitution. The Constitution was changed to incorporate us into the fabric of America because we are America, our ethnogenesis in America. And they're so salty. The immigrants are, so many immigrants are so salty about it. And even, so you hear all the news networks when they're covering this situation, they're all trying to like not talk about the core argument, which is the fact that it's about ethnic Black Americans, children of slaves, giving citizenship not to immigrants. It was never designed for immigrants. And this goes back to the statement where we have told immigrants time and time again, if it weren't for us, you wouldn't be here. And they want to have all these tropes and narratives and try to twist American history and say, oh, we would have been here, or these non-melanated people gave us citizenship. They gave us immigration. No, they didn't. They did not. They didn't. It was based on your immigration status. If you are a non-white male in America, the precedents came from us, ethnic Black Americans, hands down. That is why you are here, because they used everything that we fought for, and you tethered yourself and piggybacked and jumped on our backs to get it. And we fought for you, and we try to help you until we realize how anti-Black a lot of you guys are. And so now we're quiet. If this was 10 years ago, we would be up in arms trying to help you, trying to fight for you, and now we're quiet. Now, I don't know what they're going to rule. It seems like, it's going to be a hard road to get this passed in the Supreme Court, but Trump has pulled rabbits out of his hat before. And this is what I want us to understand. You have to, ethnic Black Americans, you have to have pride in your culture and community, because you have to understand that everything we have and everything that these people have in this country is off of us. This includes the non-melanated, because we built this country, okay? It includes every other group that comes to this country because we set the precedents for them to come to this country. And you need to stand up and start gatekeeping. It's funny to see the gingers and everybody like saying, oh, we're Black now because we're gingers. It's cute, but it's not, we need to gatekeep, okay? We need to stop letting everybody come in, because look at the silence of supposedly your allies, these people of color and all this stuff, where they don't want to give you, your ancestors, any credit for them being in this country. They don't even want to talk about it. They don't even want to give us the credit when it is the center, it is the foundation of the entire argument. And they don't even want to mention it or talk about it. Sotomayor started talking about gypsies. So listen up.
The Constitution.
Respectfully, I think what we have are lower courts making snap judgments on the merits that ignore the fundamental principle of the 14th Amendment, that it was about giving citizenship to the children of slaves, not to the children of illegal immigrants who really were not even a very discreet class at that time. And that's the sort of argument that deserves percolation.
Congress who argued against the 13th Amendment just because of that. Some people who argued against passing the amendment just because of that, because it would give citizenship to gypsies.
I think the relevant history of the 14th Amendment is the statements of Senator Trumbull, who emphasized that domicile was the key criterion. He said that in a letter to Andrew Jackson. And there we've cited in our Ninth Circuit briefing.
So, as I said before, we have enemies we didn't know we had. They're jealous of our status, but they can't change it. So the two words that are buzzing around now in Black America: delineation, gatekeeping. These are the things that we have to focus on if we want to retain what we have and not let people continue to undermine us. So we're in the Constitution, and that's what we need to keep our focus on, where we are, and let these other people fight their own battles, because when they come for us, nobody will have our backs but us. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening.
All right, there it is. I'll put the link in the chat room. You guys can, give me your feedback, how you feel about it. How do you think this is going to be ruled at the Supreme Court? But yeah, links in the chat room. If you want to call in, add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. It's just the issue is why. And Willie, maybe you could call in, Willie, if you have time, you could call in. The amount of fighting that Black people do for other groups of people, I just don't understand. The amount of bloodshed that we endured for rights for other people to come in and benefit from more than us. That's what I don't. That's the part I don't understand. And then Lady Boule, much respect to Lady Boule, she's upset at immigrants. Well, not upset, but I guess upset. You could say that. Or she's calling out immigrants. But they all vote Democrat. So how can you be upset at immigrants and demand that the 14th Amendment be ruled in the favor of descendants of Black slaves, but then you vote Democrat? And Democrats are clear where they stand when it comes to immigration. That's the point I don't get. That's the point I don't understand. Shout out to Mr. Ifel Lua. Thank you for 99. Holla. Peace, bro. Salute to everyone. Links in the chat room. If you want to call in, you're more than welcome to call in. But the amount of fighting and bloodshed that Black people have done, in which other people benefited from more in some cases, how we were on the front lines, MLK Jr., John Lewis, just for other groups of people to benefit from what we've done. Yeah, that's what I understand. Talk about immigrants, but vote for Kamala Harris. That's the point I don't understand. That's where I get confused. Complain about immigrants, but vote for Kamala Harris. That's what's confusing to me. That's what's confusing to me. Yeah, but it's more to that, WH. It's more to it. It isn't just that cut and dry when it comes to the interpretation of the 14th Amendment. There's more to it. Miss Sandman, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for letting me on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was doing a little bit of research, and the way the Supreme Court works is whenever there's an amendment in the Constitution added that it can't conflict with the Bill of Rights or the original amendments in the first Constitution. So the reason why the initial Supreme Court allowed the 14th Amendment to be ratified is because it was supported by this thing called due process, that every person has a right to due process. And also some other things about just human rights in general. I have to do some more research. So I think the Supreme Court's job this time is to find out whether or not Trump's executive order or Trump's proposal to reject birthright citizen is in conflict with any of the other amendments in the Constitution. It would be great to have like a constitutional lawyer and someone who's pretty versed in uh, law and constitutional law that has a more in-depth explanation on whether or not this is considered legal or not legal. I mean, my personal beliefs is um, if you're if you want your child to be raised in prosperity in the United States and you're willing to go through all of that to make it happen, then more may the power be with you. I feel like this life is as hard as it is. Some people make it, some people don't. And if they get through all of that, if they get through the police or the border protection agencies to get in here, and through all the cartels in Mexico, what have you, and just the nature of the desert in Mexico to get here, and they managed to get their child in here, well then hey, luck was on their side.
Hey, are you pro black by any chance? Do you care about the black community? Just out of curiosity.
Do I care about the black community? Yeah, of course.
So when you see the black folks neighborhoods and schools getting overrun by illegal immigrants and resources taken away from them, is it just the hell with them? We got to support the illegal immigrant who sacrificed a lot to get here. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that up to this date, the United States of America is the most successful, country or in the world.
Did you not say if they worked hard to get here, they sacrificed a lot? More power to them. And then the same token, you said you cared about black people. So when you see your own people, your own race complaining about it, are you saying that the hell with them because the illegal immigrant tried so hard to get here? More power to the illegal immigrant over your people. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that.
Then why did you make that statement? Why did you say more
Well,
more power to
why
them?
do you keep cutting me off before I can finish what
Okay,
I'm
my
saying?
bad, my bad, my bad.
Yeah. So the thing is, I believe that black people in the United States, if they put in half the effort to build up their own schools and clean up their own neighborhoods, that some immigrant from Venezuela who had to, truck against the elements and on some boat to get to the United States, we would be the wealthiest people in the whole entire country. So I just
So
don't
I
I
don't think
just
you're
don't want I just don't
understanding.
I just if for me to sit here and say, hey, oh we crying about we don't have this, we
So the
crying
hell with
about
your
we don't
people
have that. But we
is
were
what you're saying.
born with citizenship, and all we gotta do is go get it. And a person who willing to walk 1,000 miles just to get to the United States just so they can clean your nasty ass toilet and have rights. If that ain't
So, so,
motivation
so, so
for
let me
you,
ask you this. Let me
that's
ask
on
you this
you.
because
That's on you.
you're not making any logical sense. Do you understand that taxpayer money, black people's taxpayer money, is being used to help out illegal immigrants? This is mostly taking place in Chicago. So taxpayer funds that will typically go to black people are being taken away and going to legal immigrants. And what you're saying is because they walked 1,000 miles, the hell with those black people. We need to continue to help the illegal immigrants. Is that what you're saying?
First of all, you don't work for the Treasury Department
Okay, so it's the
in
hell with those black
Chicago,
people then. Say it.
therefore you don't know where those taxes money is going. For all
Bro,
you know, all
you
that
don't even
tax
know
money
what's
is
going on
going
in
to
Chicago, do you?
the rich
You're not even
people in
paying attention to
Chicago.
the news, are you? Or do you even know what's going on in Chicago? Do
I
you
know
even
what's
know
going on
why?
in Chicago.
So
Chicago
why are the black
has
people
been
complaining about
majority.
it? Why are they
Chicago
complaining about it?
Chicago has had a Latino majority over black people for decades now. It ain't just start like when Obama started allowing people to come in, or when Biden started allowing people to come in.
So you're saying it's the Latinos
Mexicans,
who are putting the black
Mexicans been
mayors
in
in Chicago, right?
Mexicans been in Chicago for 40, 50 years. And they've outnumbered black people in
You have no
Chicago
proof of that.
for
You
about
have no
40
proof of
years.
that. You
You
have
can
no
look it
proof of
up.
that. Chicago is a major black stronghold. So what you're
It
saying then?
was. It ain't no
So what
more.
you're saying is this, because you're saying you're okay with the Mexicans, illegal immigrants outnumbering the black people, therefore putting mayors in that works in the best interest of Latinos and not black people. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Bro, you
Latinos
are mis.
outnumber black people in Chicago.
You
Therefore,
have no
they
proof of
vote
that.
the candidates into office that will do what they want them to do.
There is a black mayor. We had two black
Okay.
liberal Democrat mayors working on
Look
behalf
at the
of illegal immigrants.
population
And
of
you seem to be
Chicago.
okay with that because
Look at the
they walk
population of
thousands of
Chicago.
miles across the border. And then you're
There's more
making
Latinos
excuses.
in Chicago than there
So
are
so hold
black
on.
people.
Hold on, Mr.
Almost
Sandman.
twice as much.
You see your people in Chicago getting upset about this. You see that, right? Let me ask you that question. You understand the black people's plight in Chicago, right?
I
Do
think
you
that
understand that?
I think that the black people that are complaining in Chicago, if they put that the same amount of effort in teaching they damn kids how to read, we
So the
wouldn't be
hell with
having
them
this damn
Negroes,
problem.
man. So
How
okay,
about that?
and Donis, this is why the black community loses. You see that? So the brother, he completely ignores that there's resources, taxpayer money that goes towards the black communities, that goes towards black schools, parks that black people use, all types of things for black people, and instead being used for illegals crossing the border, housing them, feeding them. There are black people living on the street, homeless black people, poor black people, but instead those funds are being, those taxpayer black dollars is being used for illegals. And he's completely okay with that. Do you see the sellouts in our community and why the black community is the way they are? It is just to appease the Democrats and not to
Hold on,
criticize the Democrats. We're just gonna say the hell with them Negroes, right?
That's why I always say Clarence Thomas is black excellence. And how dare anyone call him a sellout?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so wild to me because it's like, let me ask you, Mr. Sandman, why do we even have borders? Like, just think about it. Your logic is this. If I travel from China to Mexico and walk 1,000 miles across the border, hell, I should be rewarded. So then why the hell do we have borders? Why don't all countries just say, you know what? Let's just open borders. What's the point? Logically explain, why do we have borders?
Your lazy American ass ain't walking no damn 1,000 miles to get to China. Come on now.
Why do we
Let's be
have
real.
borders? Logically answer the question. Logically.
Okay,
If
so
we can
we
just let
have
people
borders.
across for walking hard, why do we have borders?
We have borders so that the government can keep track of how many American citizens are in the country. By keeping track of how many American citizens are in the country, they could determine how the money in the country gets allocated and spent in America as opposed to illegals. So if you're a citizen and you have to pay taxes,
That is a
sales
ridiculous
taxes,
answer.
or if you work, then you got to pay wage taxes. Then yeah, that's why they have the borders. It's an economic
Sovereign
thing.
countries have borders to distinguish themselves from other countries. It's not
Every country
because
has
we're
borders.
trying to do the taxes. That if your logic holds there's no reason to have borders for
So you
any
telling
country.
me
That's your
the
logic for
United
any
States of
country.
America isn't a business first and foremost?
All countries, like what? You're not making any sense. What? Okay, let's go by your logic. Let's say it's a business first and foremost. All businesses still has some type of borders or some type of standard that they operate in. They just can't let anyone just willy-nilly walk in and do whatever the hell they want to do and settle in. No company operates like that. All companies have standards, all companies have security. No business operates in some laissez-faire where anyone could just wander in. And let's say I worked hard. Even if let's say I worked hard, but then let's say like I cheat on my exam or some business found that I paid somebody to write my resume and I didn't really have those credentials. They don't care how hard I work. They're going to say you cheated. No, you don't get to work here. Like, do you not understand that?
Say that again. So you saying if
I'm
you
not going to repeat.
cheated, if you cheated
If
on
you
your resume,
cheated to get in, yeah, let's say you paid someone to write your resume and
uh
you didn't have those credentials and the
uh
business found out. They don't care how hard you work. They don't care about your life story. Let's say that you are poor and you really need this job. They don't care. You don't have the credentials. It's the same thing with the United States. I don't care how far you walk. You don't just to get here and just get to settle here, unless we're going to take your logic and just say we don't need borders. What the heck's the point of borders? Let's just open it up for the world, and then we can have all the quote unquote brown people come clean our toilets. I mean, like, cause that's what you're saying. And you don't care about your own people. You don't care if no resources go into your own people. You don't give a damn about them. Let's just tell them to stop complaining while they are American citizens who are paying taxpayer money to
I just
continue
find
to
it
help out illegal immigrants who
I
don't
just
even live in
find
this
it
country.
hilarious
And let's keep
that
helping them.
I just
That's the
find it
logic.
hilarious that before Africans were introduced to the European system of fiat currency, that they survived on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years, and then all of a sudden the white man introduced them to cash, and all of a sudden, you know, that's life or death. Money is a game. You got to play the
This is
game.
completely off
Some
topic
people win it,
and a deflection
some
when you
people
don't have an
lose it.
answer.
Some of the good people win, some of the good people lose. Some of the bad people win, some of the bad people lose. You got to roll your dice.
So support corruption. See what you see. This is what you Democrat shills do because you guys are bad at
I'm not
making
a
logical
Democrat, I'm a
arguments. Yes,
Republican.
you are. You are a Democrat shill. This
I'm a
is what y'all
Republican.
do. Y'all make bad arguments to support bad policies for your party. And let's just get back to the topic at hand when it comes to the I think Dinas, you said, what's the 14th Amendment for black people? Mr. Sandman has not made a logical, sound argument about the 14th Amendment. Instead, he came on babbling. Yes, the 14th Amendment was for black people. Because why else, after the Civil War, would they free all the slaves and make them citizens? What would the founders' logic be? Or the logic at that time to just say anyone who has a kid in this country, it from regardless of whatever part of the world they come from, can become a citizen versus it was the African American slaves who were bought here by white people and freed in a way to do them right. And we can debate if it was right or wrong or how the white people treated black people, but the way to make right to those freed slaves is to make them citizens, which is why the 14th Amendment was specifically designed for that particular purpose. It was not designed for Jose and Oswela to just cross the border, not become citizens, and then have a kid here. That child is a citizen, which now anchors them to the United States. That makes no sense, and there is no tangible benefit for the American people to have a system like that. So how do you what do you think about that, Mr. Sandman? What's your logic
Okay,
against that?
so which constitutional law is complicated, and if intuitively what you saying might make sense, or in common sense terms it makes sense. However, that's not quite how it works. So any law, like say for instance Roe versus Wade, it was determined by the Supreme Court to be
Bro,
unconstitutional
why do we have the 14th
because it
Amendment, man? Stay on
violated
topic,
a
bro. Like,
prior
all
amendment.
you see the metaphysical and the
Because
metaphor.
it
This is a
violated a prior
deflection.
amendment. This is why people that work on the Supreme Court are highly intellectual, because they spend great amount of
Why do
time
we have,
analyzing
can
this
you
stuff.
explain the logic of the 14th Amendment? What is your logical explanation?
Therefore, when the Supreme Court ratified the 14th
It
Amendment,
was to allow the
it
descendants
was
of
for
slaves
black
to come
people
into
because
citizenship.
it was for black people, but it could not be ratified unless it was supported, or it could not be in contravention to the prior amendment in the Bill of Rights.
So are
Okay,
you okay
so
with everything
when
Nah,
that's
I
for
wouldn't
the
say
you
that.
gets used for
Supreme
everyone
Court,
else?
when the Supreme Court goes through their legal process this time, they have to determine whether or not birthright citizenship is
So let's
just for
put certain
slavery,
things on the
and
table,
if it
right?
violates
Hold on, hold on.
anything
Well,
else in the
let me do it in
amendment.
order. Let me do it in order. It's City's turn. I'm gonna pass to you, Willie. Go ahead, City. City.
Honest.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for letting me in. So my view on this whole 15th Amendment, what probably was meant for African
14th.
American, the free slave, to have that birth citizenship right. But the country needed population to grow the economy, and it went to the extent of to a point where to extend it to everybody that come here. Uh, I think America is more of like on sales. People can buy a green card and come into the country and become a citizen. Uh, if if the administration is really serious to put stop to birthright citizenship to uh, people that come from other country, they should, allow people to denounce their citizenship. For you to denounce your citizenship in America, you have to pay money and you have to go through process. So, what we, I mean, in every aspect of foreigners coming to the country, America benefit because they pay taxes, and America need our money so much. So they will always let immigrants to come in this country to collect more tax money, uh, and try to develop the country in as much as they can. The other thing, America is the only Western country that when you leave the country and work overseas, you still have to pay taxes. So they're benefiting more from illegal immigrant than illegal immigrant are benefiting from America. So that's what I have to say right now. But thank you.
All right, go ahead, Willie.
All right. So first off, yes, I think most historians would agree that that 14th Amendment was specifically framed to deal with the problem of slaves coming into, citizenship, right? But now we're in 2025. So when you're dealing with the Dreamer Act, when you're dealing with a ton of things, right? This is what a lot of blacks are talking about when they talk about people tethering to things.
Willie, your Obama phone, you cut out.
This is what a lot of blacks are talking about when they talk about things that were designed for us and that other people are tethering off of to benefit from. Now, my issue as a black voter is this. I don't think Donald Trump made that statement about the 14th Amendment in my best interest. No, he's banging on the Mexicans. I get it. You get what I'm saying? The reality is the same way the Democrats stepped over the homeless black man in Philadelphia, the homeless black man in Boule,
Well, your Obama phone, man.
to give these resources to immigrant communities. Donald Trump wants to do the same thing. This isn't going to benefit us at all. He's going to cut these programs, step right back over us, right, and put that money wherever he wants to put it. So for me as a black man,
there's not really a benefit in this fight for me, because the premise is always presented that these Mexican immigrants are taking resources, right? But the truth was, we weren't getting the resources before they got everything under Biden. And when Donald Trump rescinds all of that, we're not going to benefit from those resources either. So it's not my fight as a black man. You get what I'm saying? Like, Donald Trump hasn't said, all right, when I cut these programs, I'm going to invest in black education, black businesses, black. No, he's going to take that money back and send more drones to Israel or whatever he decides to do with the money, but it's not going to benefit me. So to create this false premise that Mexicans are taking from the potential benefits for Black Americans, that's a joke. We got to understand, as Black Americans, this government wasn't thinking about us before Biden did what he did. They won't be thinking about us after it was rescinded. So for me, I'm not investing my energy in it, because that's their fight. That's a fight between the Mexicans and MAGA. Good luck to both sides. You know what I mean? Like, neither one really is going to benefit me substantially. That's
So
their issue.
then, what do you say to the black people in New York and Chicago? Just to hell with them, also.
No, I say you're under a false pretense. Your issue isn't with
So no. But
whatever
the
was. Hold on, you
resources
asked me
being
a
taken
question. Let
from
me
them.
answer. Let me answer. Let me answer. Let me answer.
It's funny how
Let me
y'all say
answer.
that. Then
Let
y'all
me
like, no,
answer.
no.
Let me answer. Right? So my issue with that is, yes, I understand where you're coming from, but let's go before Biden went into office. This money was on the table that was given to these immigrant programs, right? It wasn't given to you. You were stepped over to give this to the immigrants, and you're going to be stepped over when it's all rolled back. So why invest your energy into this? That's just my take. That
You
makes
see,
sense?
and the problem with your argument is that you see that's a foolish argument, because black people's resources are being taken from them in Chicago, meaning things that was for them, schools, things that they would do in certain parks in Chicago's, certain venues, those actually were taken from them. So black people were benefiting, and now it's taken from them to house illegal immigrants. Are you not understanding that?
That
Or
doesn't
just
make
the hell with
sense.
them
That doesn't make
Negroes?
sense though
It
when we're
was just
talking about
never
federal
for us, right?
funds. That doesn't make sense when we're talking about federal funds. It's federal funds that were funding these sanctuary cities, right? So what the state was going to do is what the state was going to do, right? This money being given to the immigrants didn't stop the states from doing whatever they were going to fund, whatever they were going to do. So that's a false argument. The reality is they stepped over us to give this to the Mexicans, and they're gonna step over us when they pull back.
No, that's
My
not
beef,
true. No,
my
no,
beef is
no. If
with that
something is
government.
already being
My beef
used
is
for
with
black
that
people and
government,
it gets
not with a
taken
bunch of
from them, that's
Mexicans.
the
That's
problem.
just my
And
take.
no, and you know what? I agree with you there. The government is the one, and I would say, well, up until Donald Trump. Yes, I would
All right.
say both parties did participate in keeping the border open. It wasn't until Donald Trump that the border really became an issue, because he was the only one that made it an issue. But to sit there and go to a black community, and this is the problem with our people, because we act like we don't know what the hell is going on. To sit there and go into a black community and then look at the gas stations or just look at the businesses and it's not black anything there, and just be absolutely okay with that, is why you stay losing.
Who's
It's like
okay with
it's like
that?
you don't care. No, you
Who's
don't
okay
care.
with that?
You
No,
and then
slow down, slow
Mr.
down, slow down. You're
Mr.
putting something on
Sandman,
me.
both
Hold
of
on,
y'all
slow
act like
down.
y'all. No, I'm
Slow
not gonna slow down.
down.
Both
Let's
of
make
y'all
a
act like I'm
logical
not gonna slow
argument.
down. I'm gonna keep going until I finish
Cause
my
you're,
point.
but you're
You
putting
and Mr.
something on me.
Sandman act like you
No,
don't
I
know
don't.
what
No,
the
that's not
hell
what
is
I'm
going on in
saying.
your community, and
That's not what
therefore
I'm
you
saying at
become
all.
willing puppets of the establishment, because your black mindset. If I was a white liberal, I would love that mindset. I would love. I'm like,
What
yes,
I am
let's
saying
keep
is
these
it's a
Negroes not
moronic
caring
argument to
about this
attach
influx of
anything
illegals
given to
coming in
immigrants.
their communities
What
and
I am
taking all
saying
of
is
their
it is a
resources
moronic
and
argument
fighting and
to
competing with
attach
them.
anything
Your
given to
your
immigrants to our
mindset is
lack
the
of business in
mainstream
our
CNN,
communities. Our
MSNBC,
lack of business in our
Democrat
communities
mindset
is
trying
art.
to be woke.
What I'm saying is it is a fallacy and moronic to attach funding that was never offered to us to our problem, right? That immigrant money, that fell out the sky. It wasn't cut from our programs. They were never offering us that money. That's my point. That's my point.
Now I'm gonna say this: if there's stuff, especially under the Trump administration, the reason why stuff doesn't get, if you want to know why things specifically, unfortunately, by the federal government doesn't get offered to Black people, is because of the way we engage politically. We engage in politics
So
like
then you do
infants.
agree we're
No,
the
no, yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna tell you where I agree. We
Okay.
engage in politics in three ways. We either don't care, it's just like I don't care what the hell is going on around me.
That's
I'm gonna
me.
keep my ears closed. And yes, so therefore you are ignored. We vote 90% Democrat. So the Democrats know that you ain't going nowhere else. So you are ignored. We don't want to deal with the Republicans at all because we call them racist. So guess what? You're ignored there. So because of our non-engagement in politics, or when we do, it's all on one side, and we don't want to even talk to the other side, you're ignored all around. And
See, but
this is
that's where I
why
disagree,
there's no
though.
federal funds signed specific for you, but there will be. The fact that the Latinos can get
So that's why I
funds
disagree, though,
assigned
because
to
you do
them
agree. Hold
and
on, hold on,
people who
hold on. I
don't
can't
live
yell. I'm in
here,
the office.
this
Listen, I
is
can't yell.
amazing.
You do agree that blacks on a monolith, right? So to say that we're all ignored, no. Like with my tax base, with where I am in my tax bracket, right? A lot of the things that Donald is doing might be beneficial for me. I don't have any problem with him, you
It's not
know.
specifically for
No,
Black
listen
people.
to what listen,
That's what
listen,
I'm saying.
right, right. But when you say specific, right, different of us meet different quotas, right? We're not all the same. We're not all in the same bracket. So I could very easily say that a lot of the things he's doing would benefit me. But when I factor in the question of my people, then no, I don't see the benefit there.
Okay,
But
so once again, you can see how the Latinos can engage politically to get illegal immigrants, foreign citizens. I mean, excuse me. Yeah. Foreign non-national citizens to come here and then take the resources of the local Black people. And these are people who
the
haven't
last
lived
part
here
is the
yet.
part
Black
I
people for
disagree
all
with.
these years cannot
The
do that
last
because,
part
like
is
I
the
said,
part I
we
disagree with.
engage in politics and how you do it. We don't give a damn,
The
or we all
last
vote
part
on
is the
one
part I
side and we
disagree
curse
with.
out the other side.
Taking resources from us, right? That's the part I disagree with. We didn't have access to those resources before, and we
I
won't
can't
have
go in
them when they're
circles with you,
taken back.
man.
That's the point
Okay,
I've
well
been
then,
making.
should people in Chicago, y'all need to stop complaining. Whatever you was those schools that you were using, those parks that you were using for your children, whatever resources that you were using that was taken from you and now being used to house illegal immigrants. According to this brother,
That's
it
not
was never
even the
for you
argument in those
to begin
communities,
with.
bro.
But
You're wrong. No,
you
you're
just
wrong.
said
That's
resources were
not
never
the
taken from Black
argument.
people.
That's
I
not the
just showed
argument.
you
Hold
proof
on,
that it
slow
was
down, slow
taken from
down.
Black
No,
people.
you
This
didn't.
is why Chicago
No,
Flip
you
Red
didn't.
exists. And
You
then you're
just
just
said
blowing it off
something.
like it doesn't
You
exist.
just said something that's not true. You didn't source up anything. The reality is, right, the issue in those states, their beef is we have been complaining to these states for years to rehab these schools, to upgrade them, right? And instead of doing that, they shut it down, meaning they never gave us the funding in the first place. So now the beef in these same cities is, well, how do you give them the money you wouldn't give us? But that always makes my point that on both sides of it, we weren't thought about. So to make it an issue for us, nah, I'm not willing to do that.
Okay, well then don't, bro. So then don't say nothing. I don't want to hear you say anything about. So let me ask you this: you are okay with what's going on in Chicago? I hear what you're saying, but then what you're saying is that
That's
the
what you're
Black folks
trying
are
to
fighting a
that's what you're
stupid
trying
fight
to
in Chicago,
claim that I'm
and they're
saying.
fighting a
But
dumb fight.
even you're smart enough to
That's
know that's not what
no,
I'm
no, no.
saying.
I'm smart enough to know
You're
that
being
Chicago is
disingenuous.
flipping red because the illegal
I'm
immigration
saying you're
situation
being
that you're saying
disingenuous.
is a non-issue.
I'm not even saying it's a
Are you
non-issue.
saying Chicago flip red is not
I'm saying
that
our
wasn't
issue is
created
with the
because what's
government
going
and
on
not
with
with
the illegal
Mexicans.
immigrants?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I
Flat out.
agree with you to that certain extent that
So
yes,
don't
the
imply
government,
I'm
but
saying
to
anything
ignore
other than
that the
hold on.
Latinos is
So don't
overwhelming
so
blacks in
don't
Chicago is
imply
ridiculous.
so don't imply that I'm saying anything I'm not. You do understand what I'm saying. That's why I said you're smart enough that I know you're
Bro,
playing
you're
stupid.
being
You
disingenuous
understand
like
what I'm
most,
saying?
bro. Most black folks who are pro legal immigration, just like the other guy, y'all make these dismissive, disingenuous arguments. And what you do is you ignore the facts on the ground. I gave you clear examples of black folks upset with this to the fact they're creating a whole coalition. Chicago flips red. Do you know why they're saying flips red and not blue? It's because right now it's the current Trump administration, which is the only administration trying to get rid of illegal immigration. And the reason why it's becoming a roadblock at the roadblock is because the Democrat road judges keep voting against them. But right now, it's the Republican Party under Trump that's trying to get rid of the illegal immigrants. And why do you think the Chicagoans are like, okay, well, we're going to side with with the Trump administration? Because it's his administration that's trying to get rid of the illegal immigrant infestation in Chicago. But you're saying it's not a problem. That's why I don't understand. Or let's take your argument that I already rebutted. Federal funds. Okay. Like I said, there are three groups of black people. The one like you who don't care. So then you are going to get ignored. And then the ones who only vote Democrat, well, y'all are consequence free. So you're going to get ignored. And then the ones you guys don't even give Republicans a chance. So guess what? The Republicans are going to ignore you. So your strategy is a failure all around. You have no solutions. It's just a complaining failure all around. So yeah, I think we should ignore people like you, and we need to listen to people who are standing up for Chicago. We also need to listen to black people who want, especially if y'all want to deal with this legal immigration situation. We need to continue to support people like Trump. But people like you who are just like whatever. No, we don't need to listen to you because things are just going to get worse.
All right, guys. Links in the chat room. Let me read these super chats. Robert, thank you for $1.99. Holla. Y'all just want more Latinos over here. One time, thank you for $5 holla. Native Americans were not given citizenship from the 14th Amendment, and they were born here, but they have an allegiance to their own nations. Okay. Links in the chat room. You guys want to call in? You're more than welcome.
Yeah, man, I got a dip, man. If y'all are still doing this, I'll be here, man. But I got a dip. But yeah, I just want to say, man, black people, man, we have got to just break out of the la, la, la. I don't care what's going around me. Because, I mean, we're going to continue to be put last. We're going to continue to be ignored. We've been complaining about the same issues for 50 plus years. And the solutions has always been either vote Democrat or don't care. I don't see how that's working out for us. The reason why you guys see the Trump administration being attacked so much is because they are doing something different. This is what black people have to learn. We got to do something different. We cannot continue to do the same things over and over and then expect a
No,
different
we
result.
don't. No, we don't. Because honestly, when you say do something different, sending us into a fortress of white supremacy makes no sense, right? We can end up shooting ourselves in the foot and it could get way worse, right? Make sense? So when you just say do something different,
The fortress of
do
white
something
supremacy, what do
different,
you mean?
do
The
something
Republican Party?
different, do something different shouldn't mean drive off a cliff. Yes, you know exactly what I meant. You know
So
what I meant.
I'm just curious. I just want to make sure, is the Democrats also a form of white supremacy?
Yeah.
Okay, in what way? Because they're trying to replace you, right? Like
No.
you don't think they are trying to replace the black voter with the immigrant voter?
I mean, I understand when, thank you. I understand when that argument's made, but I don't necessarily totally agree with that.
So, but the Democrats are unfortunate. Because the reason why I asked you that, because y'all like to ascribe the white supremacy label to the Republican Party, yet you see the whole white power structure trying to assassinate them, trying to throw, they didn't do the first black man like that. The first black president, and I don't want to see him assassinated. I'm not wishing death on Obama. I don't even want to see Kamala Harris die. But
This is
I
weird.
just find it quite interesting that the first black president never got prosecuted or arrested or got sued, and he's never been assassinated. Yet the white man who was supposed to be the embodiment of white supremacy, supposed to be the KKK, just in the
So
flesh.
you want to
He's
protect that
the
white
one
man.
being
I understand
indicted.
your interest.
He's the one being thrown off balance. He's the
Yeah.
one that gets 90% of the mainstream media attacking him. Yet he's supposed to be
Because
like
he
the
is a
embodiment of white
scumbag
supremacy.
criminal.
That makes zero sense to me.
Because he is a scumbag criminal. Anyone intelligent knows that.
So white supremacy is attacking him because you do know that black people don't control the
You're
media, right?
asking loaded questions that someone stupid might be fooled. Like
So
I don't
so then,
understand what you're
so then,
doing.
so then, what type of white people
You keep
are
asking
attacking
questions,
Trump?
but you
The
won't let me
good white
you
people?
won't let me answer the other question. And you just keep asking questions. So I get one sentence out, and you're like, "Oh, got him," and create this whole false narrative that no one's arguing. I'm not arguing that both sides aren't problematic. I can guarantee you the Republicans don't have our best interests in mind. So while the Democrats may not be perfect, while we do need to focus on making them reform their policies and what they're pushing, I agree with that 100%. But I'm not going to go jump on any train with Ann Coulter. I'm not going to do it. It's just dumb. It's literally just dumb. We are talking about the current party of neo-Nazism. We're talking about the Proud Boys. We know what we're dealing with this party. This party has gone out of its way to roll back any initiative that benefited Black people. This party is firmly standing on not teaching your babies Black history. That's this party. You want to switch up and go over
So,
there? That's what you want
so
to
yeah, yeah. It's interesting because there's not a single black person that can tell you that so and so was killed by a Proud Boy, like a black person was killed by a
That's
Proud Boy.
irrelevant.
There's not no because
Being killed
you're
by one
saying
is
that,
irrelevant.
and you also know it's interesting. All of your talking points is so funny. All of your talking points comes from the same white media that you claim are white
I
supremacists.
don't even watch
Because
white media, brother.
everything, the Proud Boys,
I
or
don't
all
watch
these things,
television.
these are
See, what you
all groups
continuously do is try to
ascribed
lie
to
on me.
no, but
Your
it is
argument is
aligned.
based
You see,
on confusing
it's
people over what
aligned
I
with the
stand on.
white liberal agenda, and you're just a black
Your
face
whole
squawking it in
argument
front of
is
your community
based
as
on
if it's some
confusing
pro-black
the
stuff.
people on what I stand on. I've said emphatically
You
what
are
I stand on.
repeating stuff. Listen, your argument,
That's
I
your
could turn
claim.
on CNN
That's your
and the white boys
claim.
will say the same thing you are saying.
All right, well, and everybody, good luck. Like I said, I'm doing well. Like everybody else, good luck.
Okay,
But
but don't act
if
like
we
you're
are,
fighting against white supremacy when you're just
I
siding with
never
the liberal
did. I
white
never did.
supremacy.
I said your plan is.
Hey, I pass the mic. I'm done, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go
it's
ahead. Go
stupid.
ahead. Free game. Go ahead. Free game.
Yeah, I have to agree with the brother and say that we are like people don't understand that it's not just Mexico, it's Colombia,
The
and
Africans.
What brother do you agree with? You just said the brother.
what's the other guy? The other guy that was opposing.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, free game. You should see the names on
I,
the.
I I didn't see it. It's too small, man. But I'm on
Free
my phone.
game. Wall Street Willie is down to deport everybody. I don't have an issue with that. But I have an issue with the false narrative, right? That deporting, focusing on this Mexican is going to benefit us in any way. It's like I said, they stepped over us to offer them that federal funding. They will step over us when they rescind it. Our issue is with our government. I feel like we're just trying to punch down when we're looking at them. But hey, to all my black people, right? Because there's an economic component of it that can be problematic. And so to all my people, I'm down to deport everybody. Don't get me twisted. But that includes Mexicans, Africans, West Indians, everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but what I'm saying here is that we have to control the immigration into the country. If not, for instance, immigration is not the only thing that's going on. The kids are being kidnapped at a very high rate. So we just can't allow anybody in the country because if somebody from another country is running a Operation Ring with children, which is true. That's why that's why the borders are one of the biggest issues on the borders are list is because of trafficking of children. So we have to also look at that, and also for instance in Arkansas, where the jobs was predominantly black at the Tyson chicken factories, they had the FBI had bust them down and saying, "Hey, y'all can't be hiring no illegal immigrants off the street." And they had to run all the workers out of the plant and arrest them and send them back to their country. So we can't just allow illegal immigrants to come into the country. That's not sustainable because the corporations will take the benefits of low wage earners. They will do that. And another thing now where I can't agree with you at is um, people love to point out to black criminality using the FBI statistics. And the FBI statistics show that the Proud Boys and the base and all this, these Antifa groups and all this are some of the biggest extremist groups in the country. If we're going to point out if we're going to point out the black criminality backed by FBI statistics, we also have to point out that the FBI said these groups are dangerous and they have stopped plans of them doing mass shootings at black events. So we can't just be one-sided. Yes, he's speaking the truth when he's talking about extremist groups and all that. And yes, Trump party have a lot of races, but also the Democrats are racist as well. So I'd rather be a racist be up front with me than a racist going behind my back and changes legislation that can last 100 years, 50 years or
So
so.
when that argument is made that we're choosing between two races, right? Maybe
Mhm.
we just shouldn't vote. Ever thought about that?
No, that's not because, for instance, when
So you do agree we have to choose one racist over the other, right?
no, we need to choose the best individual. We need to choose the best individual. And all individuals aren't racist. So are for racist policies or whatever. But anyway, what I'm saying is that we cannot allow people to come into the country because it's not just our government. The corporations in the government is two different things. The corporations will take advantage of low wage earners and kick your black ass out and replace you with a Mexican in a minute, in a flash. So that's all I have
But
to
not
say.
only that, I don't like that two racist argument because that's a simplistic. I think black people need to have more range. There are shades of gray, and there are a lot of intelligent black people who can look at policy outside of just there's two white men running or it's that's ridiculous. Some people voted for Trump because they just don't want no war and escalation with Russia. You know, people understand what's going on with the Ukraine Russian issue, and they hear Trump saying, "Hey, we need to mind our own business." So some people agree with that. Some people are tired of jobs going overseas. There could have been black people who was a car factory worker and he just saw his job get exported to China. And they see Trump try to fight back and bring it back. So it's not that whole sided with the white man. That's just a simplistic Negro, I don't want to do nothing answer. And I do think we got to get more sophisticated in politics because not, I mean, like you think when the
The
Latinos vote
argument
or the
you
Asians
made,
vote,
you made
they're
that
not
argument
thinking
though.
about white, white, white. They're thinking about interests. How can our interests align? And there are black people who are affected by illegal immigration. And guess what? They're like, yo, Trump is talking about closing the border. I'm gonna vote for Trump. They're not thinking about just two white people running and they don't like us. Like that's the emotional argument.
See,
We
and
got to
this is
move
when it
beyond that.
becomes disingenuous. This is when it becomes completely disingenuous because that was literally your argument, right? Oh, but what about the Democrats? Right? So you started making that entire comparison, and now, oh, I think black people have to be more intelligent in their arguments. It's
I
disingenuous.
made that comparison because you talk as if you say
What
the
I do?
same things that you hear on CNN about the Republican Party being this racist party, and what that does is that goes to someone's emotions. So I was just trying to see if you have range on the Democrats, or if you know what Democrats are doing to black people. That's why I asked you that question.
You've
But
never
I
been
don't
in my
even
man
think that
cave.
basic. I'm not even on that
Listen to
level.
what
I
I'm
look at
saying.
policy. That's why I
Listen to
can
what I'm
bring up
saying.
Ukraine. That's
Relax,
why I can
relax.
bring up
Hold
the
on,
border.
breathe,
That's why I
breathe,
can bring up
relax.
insurance companies,
Listen to what
things
I'm
like
saying.
that.
You've never been in my man cave, but you claim to know what I watch. Your whole argument in terms of
Because you
refuting
sound like a
mine,
CNN pundit.
your whole argument in terms of refuting mine was based around spinning my argument to something I was never saying. Now, to the average dumb voter, they'll fall for that, right? But you
Hey,
talking to me.
really, who did you vote? Did you vote this past election?
Nope.
When was the last time you voted?
Biden,
Okay. And before that?
Trump.
Oh, you voted for Trump in 2016?
And you want to hear the only reason why?
Why?
Barack Obama had left such a phenomenal economy, right? Saved us from the precipice that I honestly thought that nobody can ruin this economy, right? So then I begin to look at my people, and I view my people as a sleeping giant that are extremely complacent because they have microwaves and they have Uber Eats and they have MTV or whatever they're streaming, Netflix, right? So who better to wake up this sleeping giant than a racist, corrupt scumbag? Yeah, let's go with the Donald, right? Because the one thing I will agree with y'all on, the one thing that Donald showed you right off top, right? All that you got to be everybody's president. Yeah, right. Not with the Donald. And I thought that
So
black
why
people,
are we
and I
racist
thought
though?
that
And that,
black people, and I thought that black people needed to see that. So we
but,
stopped
but, but see,
making
this
that
is why I
argument
say
that so
you.
we hold.
Willie, that is a stupid argument, but go ahead. I voted for the racists to wake my people up.
No, but and I got another like this is why I ascribe him to CNN, because I'm just curious, why are you so adamant that he's a racist? And like, we had a Hillary Clinton, like, why couldn't Hillary Clinton be the wake up call for black people?
He asked me a question.
Is
Y'all
it
got to
because
go
she
back
was a
in the
Democrat?
office. Hold on. So I get what you're saying, right? It sounds like a stupid argument, right? But when you understand my mindset, right? I believe blacks in America have everything we need. I don't think we need to look outside ourselves. I don't even think we need to look at the government. We don't need reparations to get on track, right? We need to get uncomfortable. I believe that why we were so in line in the 50s and 60s is we were extremely uncomfortable. We had no choice but to work together, right? So something had to happen to kind of shake things up. And I said, let's see if the Donald could do it. Now, what happens? COVID happens, right? And the Donald is telling white folks, you don't have to wear a mask all throughout the South. And the Donald lets his whole family get COVID. I said, nah, we actually need someone intelligent in office again that can do things to kind of curb
This is so
this
ridiculous.
Yeah,
virus,
this is
right?
crazy.
And so I voted for
This
Biden.
is
Yeah.
ridiculous. And the reason why your logic sounds ridiculous is, just hypothetically, let's say
Man,
I
come on,
believed you
Willie. Come on,
with
man.
I
Obama.
understand why my logic sounds
But but
ridiculous
let-
because you
but
don't
let's
understand
say
that
this, Donnie.
I, as a black man, view myself as determining my own fate. With the amount of money I make, I don't care who's president. I
No,
determine my own fate.
but if Obama left a
So
good
politics is a
economy,
game to me.
but the question I have for you is, Obama's economy was so good that I would assume black people were probably thriving. Why not just vote Hillary Clinton
Look,
just to continue it?
you
Why
want to see
shake
something?
things up
I got
if
this dude
things
in
were
office.
thriving under
You see
Obama?
that profile pic? Like I helped campaign to get him in office. So at one point, I actually cared enough, right, to help a candidate campaign, right? But I do agree that where we are as black people right now is everything Claude Anderson warned us of. We're at a point where neither side benefits us or is even really thinking about us. So now I'm looking to myself outside of politics. And when it comes to
Okay,
myself, I got to get to that bag. As long as I get to the bag every year, like, you can do what you want with these politics. I'm not going to benefit from nothing. Your
I agree with
child
you with that.
income, housing, credit, your DEI, I don't benefit from none of that. You could take it all for all I care. I would prefer my people to still have these things, but it ain't no make or break for me. I'm good. So while it sounds like my logic is stupid, I think the way we've been moving politically has been stupid for a very long time. And it's not just voting for the Democrats.
No,
It's a
no,
lot
I
deeper
agree
than
with
that.
you, but I'm just saying I just don't understand. Like, if Obama, like I said, if Obama was doing good, I would just have voted Hillary. And I don't understand the need to shake black people up if we're doing so good under the Democrats. That's what I'm not understanding.
Because I
And I
blame
agree with
because
you that
I
we do need to
blame
get to the
my
back. I'm
people
not
for what
attacking
we're
you for that.
going through. I don't blame the white man for what we're going through in 2025, right? I don't do that. So yeah, I do want to make niggas a little bit uncomfortable. I do
Hey,
want to
hey,
show
hey, hey,
them.
that's a tariff. That's a tariff.
All right, I'll send it in a minute. I'll send
That's
it
a
in a minute.
tariff.
I do want to make black people a bit more uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it'll wake them up. Maybe it'll galvanize them
Well,
to
you know
actually
what?
push
I
for
can agree with
something.
you on that, man. I'll be honest with you because I
Now
voted
it
for
makes
Trump.
sense.
No. As far as the uncomfortable part, no, I totally disagree with your reasonings. But as far as the uncomfortability part, because I spoke on this, when I voted for Trump, it was more for the economy, wars, and other things, the border, especially because I live in a border state. But I did say I noticed under Trump, black people was paying more attention to politics. We understood Congress, we understood the House, the Senate, what's going on in the White House, what's going on around the country. Why?
You really
Because
believe
someone
that?
is in the White House that we hate so much because the media told us to hate them. Don't give me and listen, you can't deny that black people was messing with Trump until the media. When the white control media, who you say, are white supremacists, but they don't told black people to hate Trump. Out of all the races in this country, it feels like black people has the most visceral response to Trump out of every race in this
I
country. And I
think
strongly
I think
believe
the
that's because of the media.
I
But,
think the
but hold on
black
one second.
community, hold on. I think the black community is now on the same wave I was on, where they just want to punish the Democratic Party. And there is value in that, right? Now you need to learn. If we don't back you guys, you don't win, right? So now you need to pander and cater to us a little bit more. That is the strategy, right? But
It's
I
twofold, but but where I agree with you is with black people did become more in my opinion, more politically conscious and aware under
oh
Trump
yeah, I was
because
never
of the
saying that.
hatred, and we needed to learn more about.
That was
That's
never
what I
my
thought.
point. I want to make it clear. You wasn't
That's
agreeing
my
with
point
me.
on that one.
I'm
Okay.
just saying you weren't agreeing with me. I was
Then
never
we
saying that.
disagree. But on my point of view, under Trump, black folks were so mad. I was talking to everybody about politics, and I was talking
Hey,
about
hey,
politics
hey,
for
Hey,
years.
Will, I haven't got my tariff yet. I'm gonna have to close the doors.
All right,
I'm
I'm
gonna have to
done.
close the doors. Yeah, he did. All right, go ahead, Mike. Unmute yourself, Mike.
Now it's what time? Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I just kind of want to. I hear this kind of discussion a lot, and there's one point people always. I don't know if someone haven't like kind of thought about to had kind of like to change the mind of people somehow the way they think. See, part to get things done really, it's not always looking to political solution, thinking policies was going to change it. There's some things that people want to change, but it's almost like impossible to get it done politically. For example, when people say their communities, like how illegals are just coming there and things like that, occupying and things. One thing people need to start understanding is to get things done, you have to get power. Figure out a way to get a power to get it done yourself. And power is not always politics in the political area. Power sometimes there's something called the power of ownership. I'll give you an example. Like when these illegals guy, all these guys run around, when they want to go into like a neighborhood full of white men, they don't, they can't beat that. Why? Because those white men, they usually own the real estate in that neighborhood. So all the white men have to do is just say, we're not going to rent this to you, or you can't be here, you're trespassing, because I own this property. Almost all of them, their neighborhood own their property, the structures there. So all they have to do is just say no. we reject you, or you can't be here, you're trespassing, or we're not renting to you. That's how white men just keep their neighborhoods to themselves. Now, if people don't want certain people in their space, what you have to do is just figure a way to purchase the properties in your neighborhood, whether the apartment complexes and things. If group of people, own the place you live in. You can't say you own a place because you populate the place. You only if you actually own the property there, the real estate there. You can rent an apartment. I can't come to rent an apartment, move my whole family there, and we populate the apartment complex. And then I'm saying I don't want these other people to move to the same apartment when I'm renting it. I don't own it. The way to regulate to make things my way is to purchase the complex and then begin to make rules saying, okay, I'm not renting to certain kind of people or this kind of people. So all these guys are always saying this, oh, illegals are coming to Chicago neighborhood and this. You in these neighborhoods, who own those properties, who you have to go to. If it's a black person that own it, then you tell them like, hey, listen, hey, we have to, hey, we want to keep this neighborhood black. So let's not rent to these illegals, and let's not allow these illegals to come in. But you cannot rent you cannot be a neighborhood where the person that owns these structures is non-black, and then you complain about someone else moving there. You cannot be living in a neighborhood where all the apartment complexes are owned by some white person that doesn't even live there. He doesn't care. The white person is going to push those illegals there and rent it to them because he'd rather have them there than come to where he lives. So I think if people want power, what they need to do is the neighborhoods that they populate, they need to put money together and start buying the structures there. And then if you own the structures, you cannot start making rules, using their power to regulate who comes there, who doesn't come there. It's not by crying to the Democrat, oh, why are you letting me illegal come to my neighborhood? You can cry all day. They're not going to listen to you. They don't care. It's a capitalist country. You have to own something to have power to do something. Politicians are not really out there to do for you or do for anybody. They just,
okay, can I cut in?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, say hey to the panel or whatever. So the topic here, so the 14th Amendment. Now, the 14th Amendment follows something called the selective incorporation doctrine, right? So what the 14th Amendment essentially does is it incorporates certain provisions of the Constitution and applies those provisions to the state. Because up until the 14th Amendment was passed, it was the federal government that pretty much, you know what I'm saying, had to abide by the Constitution. You know, every other state could kind of get around certain things because they had their own state constitution. So that's how, you know, a perfect example would be like the Fourth Amendment. At first, the Fourth Amendment wasn't followed by the states, right? But, you know, in the Fourth Amendment is the provision of the Constitution that, you know, stops the government from, you know, doing unreasonable searches and stuff like that. You know, at first, you know, a police officer stops you and just get to searching you, right? Now a federal agent probably couldn't do that back then, right? But a police officer could. So what the Fourth Amendment did was take certain fundamental rights, like the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, the First Amendment, and applied those amendments to the states, right? So now talking about birthright citizenship. The whole purpose of birthright citizenship, or why it came around, is because after the Civil War, the federal government was trying to find a way to keep Africans the newly freed slaves or Africans as citizens because they weren't citizens. So they had to, you know, they incorporated this birthright citizenship thing in order to, you know, give African American citizenship because at first they weren't citizens, they were just chattel property. So that's where birthright citizenship comes in it. And
okay,
birthright citizen.
Hey Theo, you got a lot of background noise, bro.
Hold on. We good now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship pretty much, you know, is a extension of the citizenship that was afforded to blacks after Reconstruction. Now, the reason that it's causing such an uproar here is because birthright citizenship has been extended to illegal immigrants. Now, if you're illegal in the country,
Theo, hold on, Theo, you just got too much background noise. Let me go ahead, Skywalker.
Okay, so you know it was illegal immigrants. So like if I sneak into your country and have a baby, now the issue is with the court. And if I sneak into your country and have a baby, should that baby be afforded birthright citizenship? And I don't agree with that. I don't think that the baby should be afforded birthright citizenship. If the
I think I get your overall point. I think I get it. But the question I have for you is, during that time, so all those, because you have to understand that 80% of white Americans that live in America today, or even more than that, I want to say 90%, they all migrated to America after that time, right? And
I agree, brother.
So what you
I agree, brother. I wouldn't doubt that at all, bro.
So those people, so you're saying that babies wouldn't have been citizens? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just telling you. I was just telling you how the law works. Like,
no, I'm trying to understand.
Like,
hold on. What I'm saying is all those white immigrants that come here and just give birth, their citizens all became citizens. So you're saying that the intention wasn't for them, for their children to be citizens? Is that what you're telling me?
Okay, now let me respond to your answer. Now, white people, I mean, we can say that they are immigrants all we want, right? But they have enough power to make them to take that immigration status away. I mean, we can just, it's just a reality of it, brother. So yeah. I mean, let me finish. So yeah, they did invade, in the 1400s, come over here and take over with the Mayflower. Plymouth Rock landed on us, right? Yeah, I agree, right? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying the Africans were over here. They did that to the Native Americans, not the Africans. The Africans that was over here, they had already came over here. You know what I'm saying? They came over here from Africa. I'm not making a claim that black people were already here. But the people that were already here were, raped and pillaged, and a lot of illegal things happened to those people in order for white people to enjoy the civilization that they have here in this country. And I don't deny that. But what I'm saying is they have enough power to take that illegal immigration status away. I can say that they're illegal immigrants I can go to the rooftops and scream, you guys are illegal immigrants, but I have no power to do anything about that. So yeah, that's true. I mean, what you said is a fact.
Power, yeah, I get that. So
so there's nothing we can do about that, brother. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. The white people have started a country here. They started a country here, and the surrounding countries, like people who come to this country, they have bought into that idea. And since they bought into that idea, they need to get status, because they're not saying that the white people are immigrants, right? They're coming to the country as if the white people were here all along.
No.
So if they're hold on. So if they're buying into the system,
you do a lot of talking. Let's a little bit get in a little bit.
No, brother. No, you just got through. I just got here. What are you talking about? I do a lot of talking.
Go ahead.
Let me land it. Yeah, exactly, right. Of course, I'll do a lot of talking if you keep interrupting me. Let me continue. So
there was only one time I interrupted.
But like I was saying, what I'm saying, I agree with you, brother. White people are immigrants. They come from Europe. They don't belong in America. But we don't have any power to do anything about that. And that goes back to what I was saying about the Anglo-speaking world, the Anglo-African speaking world. We are the weakest Africans on the planet. The strongest Africans on the planet are Francophone Africans. You don't hear them
guys,
complaining.
I'll be right back. I'm going to get my son, so I'll be right back in. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay, Donis. Yeah, but you don't hear the Francophone Africans complaining. You don't hear them talking about, oh man, we've been here. None of that. They picking up their boots, they holding themselves up by their bootstraps, and they taking back what belonged to them.
Are you
from
talking about the United States or where? What are you saying? A whole bunch of.
Wherever you find French-speaking Africans, right?
But we're talking about
Haiti.
America. We're not talking about other place. We're talking about.
No,
topic.
No, brother. Don't tell me to stick to my point. If you listen to me, you will see the relevance in what I'm saying.
I've listened
to you, though.
I mean, you're saying like.
Oh, okay. Well, let me finish. Maybe if you stop interrupting and use your ears instead of using your tongue, you can understand what I'm saying.
I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So, like I was saying, brother.
To make some sense,
like I was saying, the Anglo-speaking African world is too busy trying to appease white people, trying to integrate with white people, trying to do everything with white people. But it seems like the Francophone African-speaking world is the only ones that's holding themselves up by their bootstraps. And so what I was saying, and so the relevance,
African, that's not what I'm here to talk
about.
But
what I'm saying, bro, the relevance to that. The whole reason I brought them up, right, is because you don't hear conversations like this going on in the Francophone African speaking world. Whether the 14th, listen, brother, whether the 14th Amendment of the of Niger or whatever, applied, none of that matters. They took back their fucking land. You know what I'm saying? They're not having all these intellectual gymnastics and debates on this and this. Let me know when you shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Now, like I was saying, you know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, shut the fuck up, bro. Man? No. Why the fuck are you constantly interrupting me,
You
bitch ass nigga?
embarrassing
Shut up.
yourself. Just
Like
sounding
I
like
was saying.
buffoon, man.
Like
Make
no,
your
you sound like
points,
a
man.
buffoon
What you
constantly
telling me?
interrupting me. You dick sucking bitch.
You're not
Shut the
making
fuck
sense,
up.
man. Trying to make sense.
No, I'm making plenty of sense. The
Plenty of
fuck, you
sense,
know what I'm
really.
saying? But anyway, like I was saying, I'm done talking.
You
Asshole
done? You
constantly
sure?
interrupting me. But keep going.
You sure? All right. So let's get back to the immigration thing. The fact of the matter is, immigrants and immigrants. It's the law that decide what. This idea of white, black, purple, blue is the law. There's the law. Whether you come from, you might be from Europe, you might be from Asia, Mexico. You have to go through the same. It's the same process. If you come in illegally, whether your skin is white, you label as you're categorized as a legal immigrant. Whether you're Mexican, you categorize as legal immigrant. Whether you come legally, if you black, it's there's no race in this. Yeah, of course, a white person will figure a way to try to maybe use a system, way to kind of favor his people and things like kind of like in the beginning when they first started when created the immigration system, the whole immigration. First, we have to understand when the country was created, the people that came here only few Anglo-Saxons, few people from England, and they look at the land that they conquered is so huge. They wiped out the Native Americans, and they realized there's no way we can give birth to no babies to populate this land. So that's how the whole idea of immigration started. And when they started it, they wanted to start bringing more people from England only to come. And they got to a point they realized it's not sustainable. We have to extend it to the rest of Europe. And they extended it to the rest of Europe. Later on, when after the, I guess World War II, when Europe in the 60s, I guess time where Europe started progressing, it started socialism. Europe was no longer developing countries where Europeans were no longer interested in migrating to America. And then they extended the immigration program to other races. They realized we can't limit it to race anymore. And they extended it to Asia, South America, and now Africa. So the idea is they want to populate the land. When I looked at the goal that they had as far as what American population should be, they realized they're really underpopulated as the country has advanced. 300 million is not enough. They actually the aim is to eat 800 million mark, 800 million population mark. Right now we're only 300 million. So the idea of immigration ending is not ending anytime soon. Now this all I even laugh at people when they say, "Oh, Donald Trump is coming to hand immigration." I actually thought it was going to happen. But the guy's been in office almost over a year, I think. How long now? And when I look at embassies all over the world, they're still issuing visas to people to come here. So he's not handing immigration. No one is handing immigration anytime soon. Now, the illegal one, those ones flooding from Mexico, to be honest with you guys, it's the goddamn elites, the corporates, the war, they're actually lobbying and the government to allow those things to happen because they know what they're benefiting from that. It's the corporate what they're actually doing that. Because if U.S. government want to stop, they want to end people crossing their border. If they wanted to end it a long time ago, they would have done it. Because first of all, if Russian soldiers, if American intelligence can be strong enough to stop Russian soldiers from crossing into Ukraine all the way from here, to give the Ukrainian information about when Russian soldiers are crossing Ukrainian border, what makes you think they don't have the same level of power to know to stop the Mexicans from crossing the border? So that one, there's a lot of politicians involved in that whole influx of illegals coming in. There's always been going on for years. It's not something that's new. Some of my people just started talking about it. I see something that just started, which I don't really like it either. I don't believe in the whole illegal way of doing things, allowing people just illegally. But there are people behind it. Politicians and corporate entities are all behind that stuff. And so overall, the point I wanted to make is if people want to control their spaces, because human beings were territorial by nature. If the rest of people, maybe black people or anyone, want to own a community to themselves, all you have to do is purchase the real estate there, and then you can do your ways of rejecting or ejecting or evicting whoever you don't want in your community. That's power. That's how you use your own power to control your spaces. That's just the point I'm trying to make. As far as immigration, the most immigrants that migrated to the United States has been white people. So let's not limit immigrants to Mexicans or some people from other countries, just non-white countries. Most of the people that have migrated to the United States from even Donald Trump, his parents, I guess his dad was an immigrant. I don't know if his dad or his grandfather. They were all immigrants. Most white people in America today are immigrants. So America is the country of immigrants. It's the country created by immigrants. The people that created the country, they were immigrants. So America's always been a country of immigrants. So there's no such thing as immigrant class or immigrant this. It's just people. It's a system that decide who becomes citizen, who doesn't. And they know what they're doing. They don't just make anybody citizen. If you're a criminal, they will never make you citizen. When people migrate here, when they want to naturalize, they do a background check. There's something screen they do before they make you a citizen. And then if someone is born here, that's the law. You born here, you're automatically a citizen. You're an American or American citizen. Whether you white, black, Asian, Mexicans. So going after Mexicans for giving birth here, we have to take it away. There's no way they can make a law and say Mexican baby born here are no longer citizen. That would apply to everybody else, including Europeans. They can't, So that's just the point, man.
I think you not stopping made him leave.
Well, he could have just interjected. I would have stopped him. So, I mean, I don't think I think dude's just, he has a hateful heart. I don't give a shit. I really don't. I'm not.
Yeah, but I'm sure other people wanted to hear him talk a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't debate me, so he has to run. Of course, But anyway.
So what's your opinion on who the 14th Amendment or the birthright citizenship applies to?
Well, whatever the law says, man, the birthright citizenship is whoever is born in America. So it's really, to me, I think the whole idea was to populate the land, because obviously those Americans that were the population of the United States of the people back then, they're just not enough. They were. Don't forget that back then they were conquering the Native American. They were grabbing lands from them. Also, don't forget that even to a point where they had to take even Texas and California from the Mexicans. So the territory was too huge for that little small population. So the idea was to create a new population of Americans. And how can they do that? It's either you give birth to a lot of babies, which was not possible. They've done the calculation and realized this would take maybe 2,000 years. And like, okay, well, all we have to do is, how can we create a population of Americans? We just have to say, hey, if you're born here, you're a citizen. So it's not like
there's nothing in anything that I'm aware of the debates around it that say anything about what you're talking about.
What do you mean?
There's nothing that any of the representatives of Congress said anything along the lines of what you're saying about, we should make everybody born here a citizen just because it'll help us populate the country, especially when the country wasn't anywhere near as big as it is now.
I've read books I can recommend you some books written by the founding fathers and all those guys back then. Because a lot of them wrote books, the presidents, and I've read books written by what's that president's name?
Because the country wasn't as big.
This is where I get my information. Those people back then, they wrote books about the time, what was going on then.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But the country wasn't what it is today. The country extended to the Mississippi.
Yeah, you're right. And there was no country in the world that's today what they were back then. There's no society in the world, not even African countries.
When the country was first formed, or the first Congress rather, in 1790 or 1791, they passed the first Naturalization Act, and that excluded citizenship to only a certain group of people. So if your argument about they wanted more people to populate the country because of some reason, it doesn't really line up with history.
Well, if they didn't want more people to populate, so why were they bringing Europeans in there? Why were they having European migrants? People from European countries, particularly the Anglophone countries.
Say it again?
So if they didn't want people to come in, populate the land, if they didn't want to populate the land, so why were they having people migrate from the Anglophone countries, like from Europe? Not just, they started with
they didn't mind. The argument is not about whether they wanted to restrict all immigration. It's just about your hypothesis that the reason that they passed the 14th Amendment or the 1866 Civil Rights Act and had birthright citizenship in there is specifically because they wanted to populate the country, especially with a certain group of people.
Let's use a different logic now. Let's look at it this way. So if, let's say, United States, the dynamic of the United States compared to, I would say countries like a New World meaning
countries where they were created by people that are not indigenous, right? Indigenous people, right? So I will give you an example of a new world versus a old world. The old world would be country like, let's say, England, or let's say Ghana, right? Those countries are countries by the time they were created, right? Or even like some, it's indigenous people. They already had their population. The population is already there. The indigenous culture, everything's already there. So they're not people that are now saying that, oh wow, this is something we have to create a new population of people. They didn't have, that's not the situation they had, right? But United States and countries like Canada, Australia, when it was the new people that came in and kicked out the old indigenous population to the side, either wipe them out. So now you have a whole big land to yourself. And the population of people that came, they did their job. They were probably in few thousands, right? So now, which other way would they have created a country? And for you to create a country, you have to occupy the whole space, right? With the few thousand Europeans that were here in the beginning, which other way would they have created a country that they have today, where they have a huge population, where they're able to occupy all the space? There's no other way. Would they have said, oh, it's only us that exist right now? There will only be the citizens and our children. It's not possible. There's no way they would have populated the land. Because if they would have done that, today we won't have 300 million people.
The thing is not immigration, generally speaking. It's specific. The 14th Amendment is specifically about birthright citizenship, not immigration per se.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they have to.
So you can have immigrants. You can open up immigration to everybody. You can just say, like, we're not going to have any immigration laws, and so anybody can come from anywhere and become naturalized citizens. And because they become natural and make the naturalization process super easy and super simple and whatever, and their children are then going to be citizens now. But that's separate from the birthright citizenship clause.
But that's what birthright citizenship is, though. Like the people that came when they give birth. Okay, let me put it this way: when people
you don't have to be naturalized for your children to be citizens. So
yeah, exactly. So I get what you're saying. So people that usually come to migrate to the U.S. typically they're just looking for just to go make money, just go there and for grandpa make money, and maybe they usually have plans to go back. Like typically, nobody really is living in his homeland and having in mind thinking that, oh, I'm going to this new land and just go permanently stay there. They usually see something they're going there to achieve, to get. But in most cases, a lot of them end up getting stuck there because they never make it. So they just stuck there, right? So now the government will understand that, like, oh, we bringing people here. So now how can we retain them? Or how can we use them to create new population? So they will consider, in the case of those that will come here, give birth and decide to go back with their family if they succeed, or maybe they no longer, maybe see reason to remain here, they don't like it here. How can we now achieve what we want to do by, inviting them to create the new population? So they have to create their birthright citizens to capture their children. So that way they give birth, automatically the children are citizens. So if the parents decide that, hey, maybe we're no longer here, we're going back to where we come from, their children can always stay or maybe come back. So it's a strategic move, really, because the end goal is to create new population. That's all the immigration thing is all about. To be honest with you, it will make sense. That's all what the immigration is all about. It's not like these people like people. That's why they created immigration system. The whole idea is to just populate the land. That's all.
Yeah, but immigration is different than birthright citizenship, and 1860s were not like 2025. It wasn't super easy to just come from Germany to the United States and travel back and forth whenever you wanted. There weren't any airplanes. It wasn't safe to travel across the Atlantic Ocean. It wasn't safe for the Chinese to travel from China to California. So it wasn't like they could just hop on a plane and go back and forth whenever they wanted. So most of the people that did immigrate, I would argue, stayed in the U.S. and had plans to stay in the U.S. It wasn't like they had plans to go back home. That doesn't make sense. You're applying what we do now in 2025 to what they would have done back, 200 years ago, 150, 200 years ago. And that just doesn't work.
Well, there's no way you and I would have known whether the mind of whoever was coming here back then, whether they had plans to go back.
Well, you're the one that's saying,
one thing I can say for a fact is anybody from anywhere. But
you just implied that you do know of the mind that they had, because that was your whole argument.
I said the mind of the
politicians back then.
Immigrants.
But they
No, you
wrote
said the
books.
immigrants. You said that most immigrants they come to a country and they work and then but they don't actually want to stay there. They want to go back home.
I'm
But you're
telling the
so you
mind of, yeah, because I am one, obviously. So I'm telling the
in
mind of,
2025.
hold on, whether 2025 or any time, I'm telling the mind of a human being. Humans, when you're born and raised somewhere, your heart is always where you were born and raised. You always have the emotional connection to where you come from. It's natural. Even if you, let's say you were born in New York, raised there, spend your childhood there. If you migrate to California, another state, your heart will always be, your memories and your emotion will always be connected to New York because that's where you spend your childhood. So they understand no matter people migrating, living where they're going to another place. The only reason they're going is for greener pasture. It's not because they want to go there to be emotionally tied to that place. You understand? So those Europeans, those Italians living in their neighborhood in Sicily's and Napoli, and those Germans living in their community in Munich, when they were coming to America, all this one was greener pasture. Like, I'm gonna go there, make that money, and come back to my childhood, my homeland, to be buried and died and spend my old age. That's the way a human being typically reason. That's just natural. If you talk to any American, anybody born and raised in another country in America, they become citizens, they will always tell you that they still have the emotional connection to. Many of them will always tell you that, oh, I still want to go back to build a house in my hometown and this and that. But many of them never end up going back because they just never made it. So it's that human nature. That's why I said that. Like back then, they know that these people coming, they will never. That's the reason why they say, hey, if you're not born, you can never become president, because they know that the fact that you're not born here, born in another country, even when you become citizen, you can never have that same level of love for United States like you do for where you come from, where you were born and raised. They know that. That's why they restrict that naturalized citizenship to just being governor and not go beyond that. Like, we can't allow someone not born here to just be a president, because we know that your heart is always going to be with the place you were born and raised. So that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, no, I disagree, and I don't think you have anything to back up what you're saying other than you're saying, oh well, this is how I feel. It is because I feel this way. Therefore, it's been, it's law. It's just human nature to want to do that. They can have all this emotional connection that you're talking about. Doesn't mean they're going to move back. There's plenty of Venezuelans that have an emotional connection to Venezuela, or Cubans that have emotional connection to Cuba, and they don't move back from the United States to Cuba.
Yeah, I said that. Even almost everybody. Yeah, most people end up
Yeah,
not
but
moving
they
back.
don't. But they don't
That's
move
what I
back.
said. Most people end up not moving back. They usually
Yeah.
just. And another thing, a lot of them get used to the comfort and things. They don't move back. But there's some people
Okay.
that, hey, the emotion is always still tied to their homeland. First one, their feelings, their emotion is always there. It's always anybody. It's human nature. Once you migrate somewhere, you're always gonna have that homesickness, whatever they call it. So yeah, so that's what the whole immigration thing is just, and the way America does the immigration. Anyway, I left, so let me bounce now.
Hey, I'm back. I'll put the link in the chat room. If anybody wants to call in, you call in. If not, we'll go ahead and close out. In fact, we'll go ahead and close out. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Well, let me put the link in the chat room first. Links in the chat room. If you want to call in, you call in. If not, we'll close out. All right, guys, we're going to close out. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror, search for real peace.